What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Adam Rank, and you can stop with the text, the tweets, or anything. I'm fine. I'm literally fine. As Cairo Santo was lining up for that potential winning field goal, I knew he wasn't going to make it. I didn't know if he was going to miss it, if it was going to be blocked. I was thinking about my friend Brandon Perna last week, going through the whole thing of watching Will Lutz having his field goal blocked and everything that happened with that. And to me, I'm like, you know what? This is going to happen. Now it's my turn. And Brandon made such a great video going through all the motions, going through the pain. But he also thought his team was going to win. I was never under any illusion that the Chicago Bears were going to win. This is the first time in a long time showed up to watch a Bears game. And I think a lot of people felt the same way, where you were just kind of like that, like just, let's just get it over. Like, okay, yeah. Like going, like you have a hole in your tooth and you're going to the dentist and you're like, yeah, I know this. Please don't let it be a root canal. Like, please just let it be a filling. And that's pretty much what we wanted. Unfortunately, it was a root canal because it lasted for 3 hours. We did get some hope at one point, and hope is like the worst thing that you could give us right now. And it's like, I don't know. There are cool things to talk about. There are some terrible things to talk about, and but ultimately, I'm fine. I think a lot of us, again, coming into this game, we thought we would end up losing like the Jags lost to the Lions, and it wasn't that way. But I don't want to get too excited about it because we've also come to a situation or a point in the road where it's like we can't celebrate moral victories. We just can't right now. And you know what? Let's dive deep a little bit more. And Sammy, let's start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Adam Rank.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
Brought to you by Circa Sports Illinois, the sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to the post-game edition of the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. Thank you for everybody who is watching this, watching through pain as we sit here and listen. There's a lot of different ways that we can dissect this, and we're going to go over a lot of them. I want to start off by saying that, number one, Caleb Williams looked a lot better. He looked great, actually. Like, I almost to the point, like, and I'll admit, there were times during the final drive, I want to dive deep into that too. So, gosh, there's so much to get to. Caleb played great. And there were times where I allowed myself to think like, oh, if he pulls this off, I'm running to the internet and being like, is he rookie of the year? Are we back? Is he back in the rookie of the year thing? Because he actually would be. He would actually be back. He would actually be back in the rookie of the year conversation because having a big win against a rival that is beating you 10, now 11 consecutive times in a Tom Brady game means a lot more to me than beating the New York Giants. That's just me. But I thought he played great. And the haters who are coming out of the woodwork be like, he threw for 200. Like he had over 300 yards. He was on the hook for 300 passing yards or 300 total yards, including his running. And let's just get into Caleb real quick. So what we really liked out of Caleb Williams until the final drive, 1 sack, wasn't afraid to let the ball rip. One time put the ball into harm's way. Keenan Allen almost came up with the catch, but put the ball into harm's way at least once, was taking checkdowns, more importantly, was running the football. I think that was the biggest key for him on Sunday, was going out there, running the football, mixing it up with the Green Bay Packers. They clearly had no answer, and it clearly frustrated them. And again, when we look back on some of the missed throws, I think the third down play at the goal line when they settled for a field goal, he goes to Roma Dunze there in a play that I know a lot of us said we didn't necessarily like it. But again, there was a couple of missed throws that you would hope, like, those are the kind of points that we want to be making, like after a win, is coming in to be like, hey, Caleb was good, we got the win, but here's where he could improve on. He can make this throw better. He can make that throw better. I did think, though, on the final drive, rallying from 3rd and 20, finding Roma Dunze, not trying to get it all back on one play, finding him again, And when we were sitting there watching the game, we had the Bears watch party at Rip Pizza. And so on PCA, the PCH location. So we're sitting there, and I'm calling out the plays. I'm like, run the ball here. I'm like, nope, they're dragging in. I go, Keenan's got single coverage. Go to him. And they go to him. He gets the catch. Matt LaFleur calls a timeout. In essence, he's trying to challenge it. He's an idiot. I got thoughts on LaFleur later. But Caleb played pretty good, and he put him in a position to win the game, which is, again, and a lot of people come back at me on this because Chase Daniel posted, like, this was the best game from Caleb, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But this leads to the second point. Like, we're past moral victory point. Okay? Last year, when we were doing we lost 3 games where we had a 90% chance of winning in the fourth quarter, that's fine. And it was part of Ryan Pohl's excuse to let Matt Eberflus return this year. But at the same time, no, it's too bad. It's too late. It's too late. You lost 2 games this season on the final play. We're not going through the same thing again. It feels like anytime the Bears have a 90% chance of winning, you should bet against them. And that's a reminder that the world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is right at your fingertips in Illinois. The Circa Sports app is sports betting the way it should be. Look at high moneyline splits, better in-game betting, and the best customer service all around. And it is the greatest staff that you're ever going to see. It is the best customer service of anybody, anywhere. And if you've ever spent some time at Circa in Las Vegas, you know it is luxury. It is Vegas the way it should be. It is opulence, but it's not inapproachable. So the Circa Sports app, go to circasports.com, download your new bookie today. And if you or somebody you know has a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text ILGAMB to 233-234. Right now, it's the Circa Sports app. But this is the thing with this coach, though. Whenever we have an opportunity to win a game, we're not winning it. And this is something that it's just not going to magically disappear. Oh, we'll eventually get. No, we're not. No. And you look at this, and this is the problem, because like if the game would have played out the way we expect, like if we had lost, like the Jags lost today, we would be going out and Eberflus would be fired. But now he's got his opportunity to go out there and spin this like, hey, we made progress. We showed, Thomas Brown got 3 days with Caleb Williams. Look how great he was. So he's obviously not going to be, there's no more shakeups, at least not for this week. Maybe we'll fire a special teams coordinator. Who knows? It's fine. And it's fine. It's just expect this. And even next week, I'm going to go out on a limb right now, as I always do. We're going to beat the Vikings. So now we're going to feel good. The only hope of a change, and I don't want to be embarrassed on Thanksgiving just to allow Matt Eberflus to be let go. I think ultimately, and I don't get people who are coming after me. Like, I love Caleb. I've never backed off Caleb. This team has got to win. And when I see people coming in there and saying like, well, Caleb looked like, no, that's your fault. Caleb should have looked like this the whole year. Okay? This is the Caleb Williams we should have seen. 300 total yards, whether he has passing touchdown, and you're like, well, Caleb looked good. Yeah, he did. This is the way he should have looked all year. So don't sit here in week 11 and start congratulating yourself because he's now starting to look the way he should have looked in week 1. Okay? We're not doing that. We're not playing this game once again. We're not going to sit here and enjoy the fact that Caleb looked a lot better than he did. I don't know why the thumbprint's coming up. We're not doing that. We're not celebrating an almost victory. It's too late for that. Okay, we were 7-10. Was it 7-9? 7-10. 7-10 last year. Should have been 10-7. We're not going through the same litany of excuses that we are. And by the way, thanks to there was a couple of people a couple of Packer fans who reached out. They're like, Caleb looks really good. I'm like, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. And I hope that, again, I want to have hope. You know, I'm not gonna dismiss the opportunity. I think we might end up in a position where we do get embarrassed by the Lions and Eberflus has to go and Thomas Brown takes over and we finish really strong. And there's going to be a strong push to let Thomas Brown continue as the head coach. I think that's one thing that if I'm starting to, and it'll be the thing that like we don't get Ben Johnson because we're going to elevate Thomas Brown, which is right on brand for the Bears. And so a couple of, and I do want a couple. So when we're sitting here, we're talking about Eberflus. We're like, hey, you know, and Caleb kind of bailed him out. That was two things that I would have liked. Number one, Caleb got back into the bad habits on the, and part of it too, like, listen, the Packers knew we needed to throw the football on that final drive. I don't think that we should have abandoned the run that quickly. I know that if we would have ran a draw on second down and it got stuffed, everybody would be up in arms. But if it worked, I don't know. It's a different ballgame because you don't want to leave any time. I thought, and by the way, I thought the drive at the end of the first half was amazing. To drive all that way with the Packers calling timeouts, getting the touchdown, not letting Green Bay have an opportunity, and getting the ball back at the beginning of the second quarter, thought that was really nice. But there are also some moments where you get down to the end of the game and you're not playing to win. Now, obviously, Matt Eberflus is like, you know what? We could have fumbled. We could have done. Caleb was running the football so well. Let him do one of those read options. You got it. We don't even need, because you're going to call a timeout anyways. Let Caleb do a read option. He probably could have gained 20 yards. And it doesn't matter if there's a penalty. By the way, is that not a leverage play? If you're like, was he not doing the leverage thing that I thought was all the rage, but I don't want to turn it into that. But number one, not trying to get more yards, inexcusable. Number two, not going for it on the 4th and 3. I thought was terrible. Terrible in the moment. And I'm like, you know what? When they break a big play to get to the 50, and now obviously they made a big play to get down inside the 20, I'm like, they're going to make a big play. Like so many times these coaches are like, let's flip. What are you gaining? Because the Bears play conservatively and they bend but don't break. You're giving up the yards anyways. You're really just gambling 10 seconds, which doesn't matter. And at this point, you might as well have them score quickly so you can drive the ball down the field and have a little bit more time. So I thought that play, that to me just kind of summarizes everything about Matt Eberflus and this organization right now with him, is that the glow up's great. He's a nice person. He's a nice human being. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. He's a delight. If we were living in the same cul-de-sac together, I would love that. However, as head coach of the Chicago Bears, I don't think it's the right fit. And I'm sorry about that. And at some point, you got to make tough decisions. And you know what? He's a coach, and he knows this. And at times, you can sit there and you can love a player, and you can root for them, and you could want them to be their very best. But ultimately, you know that in order to make your team better, you're going to have to cut this guy. And the Bears are in a very similar situation with Matt Eberflus. You can like him, you can love him, you can root for him, but ultimately you have to understand this is not the guy who is going to lead us to a Super Bowl title. And the quicker we come to that realization, the better. So while I appreciate the fact that we weren't out there embarrassed like some other teams in this league, this was a winnable game, and winning should be the bottom line. I'm glad that Caleb Williams looked a lot better. I'm glad the offense looked competent. I'm glad we were running the football. I'm glad Cole Kmet was involved. But ultimately, we need to start stacking the victories, and we're not going to do it with this coach, and it's just not going to happen. And at some point, the Bears need to realize this, and they need to make a change. So we'll move forward. We'll move on. I will be back later this week with Take It to the Rank and all that good stuff. But until that time, and by the way, Greg Braggs, I was looking forward to you shaving your head. I really was. And I'm unfortunate that we won't be able to see that. I also will not be on CHGO this week because I will be doing the color commentary for Cal State Fullerton versus Idaho State on ESPN Plus Monday night. Look for that. and look for more great Bears content here on the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank. Thank you so much for being here. Bear down. And Sammy, oh, by the way, big shout out to Windy City Sports Cards. Oh, my goodness gracious. So any of you, if you went out there and bought some Caleb Williams cards, you got to feel a lot better about that. And our friends at Windy City Sports Cards have you dialed in all things related to Chicago sports. So whether you are a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, Whitehawks, I keep saying that, White Sox, Blackhawks, or Sky, Windy City Sports Cards has you covered. Not only there, with a wide variety of other sports memorabilia outside of Chicago sports. If you want to get some Josh Allen cards or something like that, I'm going to talk about the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. They got you covered, Windy City Sports Cards. And big thanks to Mike, who this week, we did a great box break. So if you're looking for anything, any of those hard to find items, it's Windy City Sports Cards. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for being here. And now, Sammy, you can go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. Brought to you by Circa Sports Illinois.